Hello everpony, Prince Elagorn of Aquilonia here, and today I am reviewing Fallout Equestria. Let me start off by saying this. I am not hoping to compete with AMY's review. What he and the boys did is many magnitudes beyond what I'm capable of. And if you want to see what a real competent review of this story is, I will link you in the description. Where do I even start with this? It's hard to start with what I like because we could be here forever. It's also hard to start with the characters because I plan to break them down in separate videos. Actually, I plan to break a lot of things down in separate videos, which is kind of a problem when you're doing a comprehensive review like this. So I guess let's start with a simple synopsis. For those that have not yet read the story takes place roughly 230 or so years after the show, by my guesstimate. The Equestria we know and love is dead. A resource war between ponies and zebras escalated into a holy war once Luna took over from an exhausted Celestia, and all efforts made to end the war just ended up making things worse, culminating in the magical equivalent of a nuclear holocaust. The survivors lived it either through dumb magical luck, becoming ghouls, a type of undead creature that still maintains its sentience, but under constant threat of eventual mental decay, at which point they basically become Romero-esque zombies, or through living in underground shelters called stables. Our story concerns Little Pip, a young mare from Stable 2, as she leaves the stables to enter the blighted wasteland of Equestria in order to find another stable dweller, Velvet Remedy. Along the way, she starts to uncover the secrets of the wasteland and the war that created it, the role the main six played in it, and her own destiny in trying to change it for the better. And that's the basic version of things. The story is not light reading material. It is 45 chapters long, 49 if you include the prologue, intro, epilogue, and afterword, and over 600,000 words. This is classic multiple volume novel material. This is like uncut Don Quixote length. It also deals with very heavy subject matter. Murder, war, descent into base depravity, the dangers of religious/political zealotry, gore, injury, mutation, attempted rape, PTSD. All of these are topics the fic explores, and all I will go into more detail at a later time. With that said though, I adore this fic. The characters are incredibly well defined. The villains are all believable and often more than just shallow baddies. Red Eye especially is a very complex and even sympathetic character. His motivations are actually rather good, but his means are atrocious. And he knows that. And he's looking for someone that can do what he wants to do without his cruelty, and finds that in Lil Pip. Lil Pip herself is also very well defined. She's a survivor, but only barely. I'm not just talking about physically either. She goes through experiences that rend her soul apart, that leave her a damaged mess, but yet she comes back stronger every time. She's a very flawed character that sees her own morality come into question multiple times and is in perpetual existential crisis. She makes us ask what we would do in her spot, and her supporting cast is just as fleshed out. Every one of them deals with trauma we can't even imagine. Each of them has their secrets to be shared. Each of them has their own unique arc. And that's not to mention the characters we know and love and how they're woven in. We fear for them, we cheer for them, we cry for them, we cringe at the fact that only a few of them get out of the story with anything close to a happy ending. And even then, they're extremely bittersweet ones. And one doesn't even come until the afterword. Thematically, it plays a lot with the idea of virtue, and how in a world gone to shit, the only way to stay sane is to find your virtue and put it in a stranglehold and never let go. Otherwise, without it, we become like that famous quote from Yeats. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loose, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Where the fic really excels, though, is in its world building. It's a slow, meticulously unfolding puzzle. History comes at us in snippets, often not in the right order, in the form of computer logs, audio recordings, memory orbs, pieces of conversation. We, like Pip, have to play detective the entire time to put things in the right way. It's the only way we, like her, can try to help set this nightmare version of Equestria right. Every little detail counts, and paints a very large and complex picture, like Brock painting a mural on the face of Mount Everest. The other thing that sets this fic apart from most others is the feels. To call it a roller coaster is doing it a disservice. Some chapters make you go through literally every feeling in the emotional spectrum at once. I felt fear, rage, worry, happiness, horniness, exuberant joy, and soul-crushing melancholy. Felt the entire world built up only to have it crash around me. And after chapter 4 or so, every single chapter had a moment that either made me sit for 5 minutes in total shock or burst into tears. Every single one. Certainly no fic has ever done that before. Most professionally published novels can't do that. I think the closest I've come to going through the ringer this hard was either my first read of Battle Royale or maybe my first watch of Audition. Now, that's not to say this fic is without flaw. A lot of coincidences just happened to go Pip's way, to the point that I found it distracting. Distracting enough to deduct a whole star for it. Other than that, though, this is an unbelievable experience, and you have no idea how much I've intentionally not gone over yet. I'm sorry I can't be more thorough, but I already have plans to examine characters, themes, and specific scenes in more detail in their own individual installments. This is a monster project that I will be working on periodically for much of the year, I think. Or at least much of the summer. If you don't want to wait that long, though, I will link you to KCat's blog, which is very informative and serves as a good companion book to the story, as well as ANY's review. I also have a character-related Ask blog on Tumblr you can check out. Ask me questions there, and I will try to answer them in character for you as best as I can. All these links are in the description. Go check them out. Until next time, this is Prince Dalagorna saying that the Lightbringer will always bring back the sun, and to remember that Pinkie Pie is watching you forever.